best place to get revenue is to generate leads. And the best place to generate leads today, more times than not, is through having a good strategy for search and
Yeah.
specifically for.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Untapped with Upsmith. We are grateful to be joined today by Jamie Adams from Scorpion. Jamie, welcome.
Thank you. Good seeing you, man. How you been?
I've been great. I've been so excited looking forward to this conversation. It's really fun to be able to have a chance for our listeners to learn from you and all your experiences in helping companies grow great businesses.
Oh, I'm excited to be here, man. I love what you guys are doing. So yeah, thanks for inviting me on. Should be a good time.
Totally. Well, the feeling goes both ways. We always love to start these conversations, Jamie, with just having folks learn a little bit about the person behind the mic. And so
Yeah.
would love it if you just spend a few minutes, few seconds, like sharing about your story and start with what you're focusing your time on now, and then go take us back in time about how you got there.
Sure. So I'm a chief revenue officer at Scorpion. And Scorpion is a company that helps service-based businesses attract, acquire, retain, and grow their customer base through digital marketing. And at the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is help businesses grow revenue through marketing. And I've been at the company now for 10 years, which is crazy to think about. Previous to that, I was at another digital marketing company called Reach Local. I was one of the earlier sales employees at that company, was there for about 8 years. And then previous to that was at Deloitte Consulting for about 3 years. And previous to that, I was in college and played tennis a couple of years in college at the University of Memphis. I'm a D1 tennis player, washed up now, of course. And then kind of dating back before that, I grew up in a really small town in North Louisiana called Coshada, and it's about 40 miles south of Shreveport, nestled right on the Red River, a town of about 1,500 people or so. So I'm from a really, really small rural area. Most of the local economy was built on small business owners. My grandfathers were both small business owners. Both started out as farmers. One went on to play professional baseball for a lot of years. I got pictures of him in the background here. Won a World Series with the Braves, so that's kind of cool. But when he finished his career, he came back and started a horse farm. My other grandfather was a farmer, ended up owning a concrete business. So yeah, I just grew up in a really small town of small business owners. And I think, candidly, that's been a big driver of why I've worked in the industry that I've worked in for a lot of years now. Reach Local and of course at Scorpion is, most of our customers are small business owners. Not all in small rural communities, right? Mostly in bigger cities now, but still small business owners. And I just love helping them grow their business. I love seeing how that transforms people's lives. And so I think that's the genealogy working from where I am today, like backwards. So
That was awesome. Well, so when Jamie and I first got connected, we bonded over both being kids from small towns in the South.
yeah.
From
Uh-huh.
Alabama. Also grew up son of a farmer, and I have the horse on the desk behind me as a bit of a hat tip to my dad, and the life he built as a man who built things with his hands and still does. I'd love to learn from you, Jamie, about an experience as a kid that shaped your perspective on the skilled trades sector and builders in our industry. Anything that really stands out in your mind as a seminal moment?
Yeah, I would say the seminal moment is my inability to do any of those things. So it's funny, man. Like I'm a little bit of a black sheep in my family. I would say my dad and I both are. So again, most men in our family are very like handy. One of my grandfathers was a builder. As a matter of fact, my dad's dad built the house that I grew up in that my parents still live in. So he was a contractor. My dad, like somehow, like it skipped my dad and I, like that ability to fix anything and to be handy. So it's odd that, where I kind of found passion and success was candidly just in business to start, and then sales and marketing. And while I can't do any of those things that the companies that I help the most can do well, I do find a lot of satisfaction in being able to help them grow their business and focus candidly on the stuff that they do really, really well, which is, starts out actually doing the work, right? Being in the trades, doing plumbing work, doing HVAC work, doing electrical work, right? Like they do those things really, really well. And candidly, they hire companies like Scorpion, and they come to look for my expertise, right? Because I can actually help them generate more business to enable them to do the things that they do well. So probably not the answer you're looking for, but that is in fact the truth. So as a matter of fact, I'll tell you a funny story that's kind of timely. Today, I got home late last night from dinner with one of the guys on my team here in Dallas. And when I got home, I noticed my one of my HVAC units in my room that cools my bedroom wasn't cooling very well. So I immediately went online, wanted to book an appointment online last night, and actually went to one company here in town that I won't mention because I don't want to call anybody out. But I went to book online from their Google My Business profile. And when I went to click book online, it just gave me a bunch of plumbing jobs. And I was looking for an HVAC, right? Eventually went to another company here in town, found their profile, booked an appointment online, just basic AC repair. Anyway, long story short, great experience. Technician comes out, sends me a text message when they're on their way. But I was talking to him this morning, and I was like, he was asking me all these questions when he showed up. And I was going, man, I don't know any of this stuff. And he's like, yeah, that's why you hire me, right? I can come in and do this stuff so you can go do what you do. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, speaking of doing what I do, let me talk to you about like how I could help you with marketing, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of that was the pivotal thing. I mean, it just happenstance how it all worked out. But I just honestly grew up in a situation where I didn't know anything about how to do anything with my hands or anything handy. And it just kind of so happens that now I just derive a lot of satisfaction being able to help companies focus on that, and I help them get new customers.
Yeah, I love that. My dad would probably joke that I was a not so skilled worker when I was working for him, but he was a pretty tough boss, as it were. So,
well, my dad was my grandfather was the one that was joking with me because neither my dad nor me got that skill, unfortunately.
Right,
so
right. Well, I would love to share more about Scorpion and the work you guys do. Every contractor I chat with has this challenge on growing leads and growing opportunities.
Yeah.
And it's a tough market right now. There's consumer demand, there's sustained high interest rates. It's definitely put a dampening effect on their growth. So help listeners understand Scorpion's mission and how you guys work and serve people.
Yes, I mean, I think ultimately our mission can kind of be distilled down to like we want to help our customers run their best business, and more specifically, run their best business through running their best marketing, right? And at the end of the day, I think what I found that just has remained true, and I've been in this industry now for almost 20 years, right? And one thing that I've found that has remained true is that at the end of the day, most business owners in kind of the local home services, residential services space, they want to focus on running and operating their business. They don't want to go build an expertise in-house and learning how to be a professional marketer. Right now, I would say certainly over the last few years, candidly, as private equity money has entered into the space, right? You do find more of these businesses hiring professional marketing staff in some way, shape, or form, but they still need a company like us to kind of help with kind of getting the basics right and helping them kind of push the ball forward, helping them bring best practices in on what's happening in the industry. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is come in, help a company understand what they're really trying to accomplish when they think about marketing, right? Some of them want to grow rapidly, right? They're just a newer business and they need to attract a bunch of new customers that they want to continue to grow. Some of them have a good install base and they don't want to be as aggressive, but they do want to show up well professionally online. So if someone's doing research, right, they've got a great website that kind of helps differentiate them relative to the competition. They've got good reviews online. And I think more often than not, like what's happening in the market now, you mentioned in the market softening, right? Like we went through those COVID years where everybody was kind of growing fairly rapidly without having to invest much or think too detailed about marketing. Now they've got to be a lot more strategic, right? If they want to grow, both top line and they want to continue to maintain good EBITDA margins, right? They've got to be thinking about, they've got to be thinking about every dollar out and how that equates to actual revenue. And I think one of the things that we've been able to do pretty uniquely in the last year specifically is we've been able to tap into partnerships with companies like ServiceTitan, right? And ServiceTitan is a tool that a lot of contractors use to run their entire business on, right? It's their dispatch function. It's the technician tool that technicians use in the field. Well, what we've done is we've actually integrated with ServiceTitan so that we can actually show when we get hired to run marketing for a business and we're driving leads into their website through Google Ads or organic search or Bing or Thumbtack ads or any of these places, we can actually follow that lead all the way from when they call the business or schedule online all the way through the transaction in ServiceTitan. And we can show contractors now kind of dollar in, our dollar invested in marketing and then dollar out in terms of revenue. And so I think, for the first time ever, we're really helping contractors move to a more kind of predictable revenue model like an e-commerce business does, right? So long answer, but I mean, at the end of the day, like our mission is to help contractors, like, again, get a better handle on how much they're investing in marketing and how that's actually equating into revenue, because at the end of the day, that's going to help them run their best business.
I love it. Yeah, Jamie's been generous to demo the product for me before, and some of the dashboards that you as a contractor can see around, here's the marketing spend that I invested, here's the flow through of new leads that it generated for me, and here's how that then showed up in our P&L.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, and I think what is not to interrupt you, but I think what it's also doing is it's kind of one of my really good longtime friends, and he actually is a sales guy on my team. He describes what we've been able to do is kind of help contractors move to facts instead of feelings when assessing their marketing, right? Because at the end of the day, right, if we're able to show you that you're investing X dollars a month with Scorpion through different solutions that we offer and advertising channels that we can drive for you, like Google Ads and LSAs and Bing and Facebook, and we can actually show you end to end that every dollar you put in these channels, what the revenue coming out of those channels looks like, it eliminates this, well, I don't feel like I'm getting very many leads, or I feel like the old Glenn Ross, the leads are weak, right? Like the leads are weak. No, the leads aren't weak. The leads are good. Here's the actual data that shows you, right, what's being produced in terms of new customers and revenue. So, and I think that's a good place that I think any business manager or owner wants to be in, right? Is like, can I get data that helps me eliminate some of these feelings I may have and actually turns the data becomes factual and helps me make better decisions.
I think it's super inspiring. Our team at Upsmith, we're building software to help drive productivity of trades businesses, mostly through the workforce.
Right.
I've told our team about it. Like, hey, look, if you put $1 into our software, we want to be able to show you that there's 10 more dollars generated on better conversion rates, better average tickets. And that flow through is so important for people that are looking to do more with less.
No doubt. Like you said, especially in times where the market's soft, right? Every dollar counts. Right? You really want to get visibility into, look, if I can get 20x in one channel and there's still opportunity in that channel, if I double down there, I can still, keep that, I can still continue to get that ROI before I hit that law of diminishing return. Well, why wouldn't I do that if I'm also investing in a channel that's giving me 3x? Why wouldn't I take the money from the 3x and put it back into the 20x?
Right.
Right. And that's the type of thing that we're able to now help contractors start to see. And we're actually using a lot of really interesting technology that we're developing to do some of that optimization automatically.
Would you put yourself in the shoes of an owner and just help us think through like lead generation as a concept? Because I think for a lot of people, this is not a new thing. They've heard of it before, but like getting an industry expert's perspective on it is super valuable.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think, when you're a small business owner, every dollar counts, right? If you think about marketing and advertising, every dollar counts. So, I think every business ideally should think in terms of like a brand, right? Like, how do I actually grow my brand? But that can be an expensive endeavor, right? Like if you growing your brand to me is like, first of all, you need to get a really clear vision on, what your vision, mission, and purpose are. You need to be able to articulate that visually and through content. You definitely have tools today like TikTok and Instagram, where if you got the right personalities and the right type of content plan, you can get viral and that can blow your brand up, right? But for most people, like, growing your brand means big dollar investments in things like broadcast and TV and billboards and things of that nature. Can be expensive to do. So if I'm a small business owner, and by the way, I've managed some and I've actually started my own business with some friends of mine. Look, when I think about like lead generation, I want to think about kind of bottom of funnel first, right? So if you think about the typical kind of marketing funnel, at the top, you've typically got awareness, right? That's where you invest in kind of your brand and making people aware of who your brand is. The next stage is that middle layer of consideration, right? That's kind of once people are aware, they've got a need, then they start to think about you because you've invested in that awareness dollar, that awareness bucket. And then there's the purchase bucket, right? Which is kind of the last mile where people are in the market, they're doing research. I actually think that most contractors and most small business owners need to start from the bottom of the funnel, right? Where do people go? Where do the consumers go when they're ready to buy? And today, right, they go to and they've been doing this for 20 years, they go to search engines like Google, right? And they tell Google, I'm looking for a plumber near me, or I need an HVAC repair guy near me or gal near me, right? So when you think about lead gen, start at the bottom of the funnel, right? Have a plan for how can I get in front of people on Google in my local area at their point of need, right? And you can do that through running Google ads or LSAs. You can do that through establishing your Google profile, getting reviews early and often from your customers on your Google profile, because that's going to help you show up in the local map section. And then, of course, your website. And look, man, websites, I get it. It's a boring, unsexy thing to talk about, right? Like, if there's one thing that we do at Scorpion that I don't love talking about, it's like building websites. But look, at the end of the day, your website is the one asset of your business that you control end-to-end digitally online, right? It's 100% yours, right? You control how it looks visually. You control all the content. You can build a Facebook business profile. You can build and should build a Google My Business or a Google Business profile, but those have to fit into a template, right? There's very little modification you can do to that template. It all kind of looks the same. You can put in pictures, but that's pretty much it. Your website, you control end to end, right? So if I'm a small business owner, I'm getting a really great website that clearly differentiates me from my competition, right? And helps me tell my story. And I'm making sure that I'm doing the right things to capture people at Google specifically when they have a need. That's where I start with lead generation.
I love the insight around starting at the conversion point and working backwards. I think that's a really good one around what are the things that you want your customer thinking, experiencing through that end-to-end journey. And I really love the insight about, hey, you control your online presence. You control how people experience you at your website. There's other things on your online presence that you don't control, but that is completely within your strike zone.
100%. And look, I think at the end of the day, like as you start growing revenue through leads that you're generating through that bottom of funnel work, right? When you're capturing people when they're at Google, look, what you should do over time is you should continue to grow your marketing investment as a percentage of your revenue. And then you should start to invest more money in that mid funnel. Like, you should do videos for your website and videos that you can launch on a YouTube channel, on your Instagram page, or on TikTok. You should think about, hey, where does broadcast and billboards perhaps play a role in my marketing, right? But like, you got to kind of crawl, walk, run your way there, especially if you're a smaller business starting out. And in order to invest in those, awareness kind of channels, like I mentioned, you got to have revenue to start. And the best place to get revenue is to generate leads. And the best place to generate leads today, more times than not, is through having a good strategy for search, and specifically for Google.
Our company's mission is to help combat skilled worker shortages across the United States. We see this one of the bigger challenges that our country faces.
Amen.
You're working in this area every day, and efficiency and how you serve leads as they come in is certainly top of mind for lots of people. How do you see skilled worker shortages impacting your customers, and what are the ways that it shows up? It's
been a challenge for as many years as I've been spending in in this space. I mean, obviously, I think we hit kind of a tipping point where it was a massive challenge during, what I'll call the COVID years. That 20 to 22, early 23 stage, still a massive challenge, right? I think there's a few things, right? One, I think obviously, there are fewer people entering the trades, right? Younger generations, there are fewer of them. What's fascinating to me is, like, I don't know still to this day if contractors have done a great job communicating how great of a living you can make in the skilled trades business. I mean, I was just talking to the technician that I was here earlier today. He's been at his company. I'll just give a shout out to the company's Cody and Sons here in Dallas, Texas. He's been at that company for 4 years. His brother's been there for 8 years. And I asked him, hey, what's kept you there? And it's like, hey, well, they invest in training. They take care of our employees, right? Like those things clearly make an impact if somebody's been at a company for 4 to 8 years. But I don't know that most companies in the space still have a great system for attracting employees, and then once they've attracted them and gotten them to choose them, to actually put them through a systematic kind of training and onboarding that make them feel valued and cared about, and like it's more than just a paycheck and a job, that it's a place that they can actually grow in their career, they can get better. So I think there's a lot of opportunities still for businesses to do a little bit better in a more systematic job of those things.
I love that insight. It reminds me of something you said earlier around how important your brand is, because that's you're projecting to everybody, not just customers. It's also your workforce. An observation I have is that a lot of the challenges around skilled worker shortages are felt in the middle of the curve and on the lower end of the curve in performance. The high performers tend to retain high performers. It's a place where people want to work in cultures that are high performing and winning and investing in them. And so retention numbers look really strong at the high end. And I think there's an insight that's embedded in there, back to your encouragement around think about your brand, think about how you project yourself to your customers, because your prospective teammates are seeing that too.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Look, I think I was just going back and looking at the confirmation email that I got when my technician was on the way, right? And it's like a full bio. His name's Mike. He grew up in the trades. His dad was an HVAC guy. His brother also works at the company, right? I mean, like, I think little things like that, that his employer, again, the business here in Dallas is Cody and Sons, Mike, the technician, knows that I got that tech. I mean, like, that makes him feel human. Like, he's not just a number, a cog in the machine there, right? Like, they're promoting him, right, to me, their customer. And I think little things like that, right, make you feel valued. They make you feel like you're not just kind of, checking the box on your day in work. You actually are proud to work for a business like that. So kudos to companies like Cody and Sons that are seemingly doing it right.
That's great. And kudos to Mike for delivering great service this morning.
He did, man. He did. He I tell you what, I didn't like handing him my credit card at the end, but at least I felt like, it was a good experience, and he explained to me what he was doing and why he was doing it and the impact it's going to make. So kudos to Mike.
How would Scorpion think about something like that record of data for Mike's visit to your house, your relationship with Cody and Sons, and then helping Cody and Sons on extending that relationship with you for the future? What's the way Scorpion approaches that from a digital marketing standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I think it experiences like that, like its scale, show up in data, right? So, how do they show up in data? Well, one way that we track, right, is every lead that we would generate for a business, right? We actually are tracking the lead, and then what percentage of those leads actually get turned into dispatched appointments, right? And then what percentage of those appointments turn into actual closed jobs and revenue, right? And we can a very, very quick look and glance at like the graphical representation of that flow would show you, right? Like if your percentage of dispatched jobs to revenue is 30%, right? There's work that people like Mike on your team need to do, right? To provide a better experience, to get someone to say, yes, I'd like to do this job with you, right? The companies that are closing those at like 70%, 80%, right? They got a bunch of mics on their team, most likely, right? And so I think like that's one way, right? Again, it shows up just very, very visibly in the data, right? At scale, right? The other way is online reviews, right? So again, what happened as soon as, I mean, my mic was parked right here. I've got a window right here. So Mike was in my driveway here, and no sooner was Mike backing out of my driveway where I got a text message, right, from Cody and Sons saying, hey, hope you had a great experience, and hope that Mike did a good job. Would you mind leaving a review on our Google profile? Right. So yeah. So a business's reviews and the star rating of those reviews and how often their customers are mentioning technicians by name, right? Like, so those are other ways that we help businesses identify the efficacy of their technicians in the field.
We think often about ways to then get that information back in Mike's hands, and what are ways in which recognition and rewards can drive behavior.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that there was an assumption a lot of our customers had when we were starting working with them that it's really all about pay. It's a tie to commissions or some type of special performance incentive. And like, that's going to be what will motivate the behavior. And those are important. But oftentimes, if those don't happen right away, or if it's a little bit unclear how to connect it back to whatever the behavior was that was being rewarded in the first place.
Yeah.
Super low impact. Flip it. Focus on recognition. Even in the absence of incremental pay, huge impact because of how closely tied it was to an affirmation that, hey, you did the right thing. Mike, you're a killer. Like,
right.
Jamie had such a great experience that, he's talking about it to other people because of how you served him. That's very powerful. And showing that is a really good insight.
Completely agree. And I mean, I know some businesses, some business owners that run like competitions, right? Internally, they'll, hey, like anybody that gets, any technician that gets mentioned most in our Google reviews over the course of a period of time gets a bonus or gets like an award, right? I mean, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't always have to be in the form of money. It is just taking a moment to recognize the type of behavior and the type of performance that you want, and then recognizing that in some way, shape, or form publicly. I mean, that certainly influences, I think, people in all aspects of business, right? Not just contractors. I mean, I see the same thing with my sales team, right? Like, see a salesperson, running the play the right way, delivering a great experience, obviously winning deals and revenue, but that's an output of doing the right thing, right? Sometimes just a simple shout out to that person in a Slack channel, a company Slack channel, right? It means more than maybe even like the little bump in commission or bonus that they would get. So don't get me wrong, salespeople want commission and bonuses too, right? But to your point, I mean, I think that the recognition goes a long way, and that's what keeps people engaged in your business and wanting to do the right thing for your customers.
I love that insight. We've been helping lots of companies run contests, many of them focused on sales related objectives. Yeah. Can you get a higher close rate? Can you get a bigger average ticket size? It has been interesting to watch the way that those competitions can go off the rails is when you don't have a way to automate the process of recognizing people.
Yeah.
And so I just did the right thing. I did the thing I was being coached and encouraged to do, crickets. And maybe you put a check mark on the whiteboard. Maybe you made a note that you're going to follow up on the next, company all hands meeting. But gosh, such a missed opportunity when you had buy-in, you had the person do the thing you wanted to see. So I love the insight you had earlier about the power of integrations with other providers who are making a big impact. We're also a ServiceTitan partner, and being able to use that system of record as the trigger for when a good thing happens and giving recognition for it and tracing through the return on investment that comes from that. I love that Scorpion does that. I think a lot of other companies that, integrate with big systems of record like ServiceTitan or others can learn from that too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's all of that is obviously in service, right, of giving contractors better visibility, right? That whole facts, not feelings, like perspective, right? Like, how can I actually get better usage of data from the investments I'm making in my field service management platform, in my marketing investments. Like, how can I actually leverage data between those to make better decisions? So yeah, I completely agree. And I think the man, I mean, especially like as Google gets more expensive to advertise on, because it is, right? Like every dollar counts. So that integration helps.
I'd love to do a quick lightning round. So I asked you a couple questions. Would love to get your response to them. This is always fun to learn from people.
Okay.
First is a book recommendation about something that led you to change your behavior in some way. What would you say?
Oh man. Okay. Well, this is actually quite easy. I'll just be, this book here.
Let's go.
This is the best book I've ever read in my life. Outside of the Bible.
For those who are listening, not on the video, he held up Dale Carnegie's "How to Win Friends and Influence People." So share a little bit about that, Jamie.
Look, I mean, I think it's chapter 3. It's chapter 3 or 4. I've read this book so many times, it's like crazy. But there's a line: arousing the person in eager want. He who can do this has the whole world around him. He who cannot walks a lonely way. And the whole premise there is the way to influence people is to talk about and give them what they want and show them how to get it. And the whole premise of this, I mean, this shifted my mindset on sales and marketing. I think a lot of people, certainly salespeople, you fall prey to look, because it's high pressure, right? I mean, in sales, if you're not selling something, right, your job is at risk, right? So I think the way that naturally that salespeople, and by the way, what's funny about this is like HVAC technicians, plumbers, they're salespeople, right? Like the whole idea is get them into the home so they can actually sell you more than what you called them about in the first place, right? So this applies across the board to guys like me that are selling B2B, like marketing software and HVAC contractors. But I think the way that most people think about sales is just to talk about like your product, right? Talk about like, hey, this is what we do. This is how we can help. This is like, and not really approaching it from the lens of what does the customer actually really want? What pain are they having? And then helping them like articulate that and translate that into, hey, you told me this is what you want and these are the challenges that you're having. Let me show you a path to that through working with us. So How to Win Friends and Influence People like helped me shift my mindset and how I approach sales, like very much from a let me pitch you my product starting point to let me help understand what it is you're after. And based on what it is you're after, let me see if my product is a good fit for that or not. And then help kind of guide you towards that. So yeah, that's how I'd answer that question. On a more personal basis, because I read a lot. There's a great book by a guy named Donald Miller called Scary Close that changed a lot about how I think about my personal life. So that's another one. But on the business front, for sure, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Those are great ones. Thanks for sharing. Productivity hacks, things you do that allow you to produce more and have more output and be your best self.
I would say this is not really, I don't know if I'd call this a hack or not, but it's certainly like a revelation. It's, look, double down on the things that you're really, really good at. Like focus hard on those things and then hire for and lean on people for the things that you're not, instead of like spending time trying to compensate for the things that you're not good at. For the longest time, like it would frustrate me that like my role as chief revenue officer, I run sales and I run marketing here, right? So like, and I've done consulting in the past, but like part of what I need to make better decisions, right, is like I need to be able to like look at data. And again, going back, I talked about facts, not feelings. Like I've got to do that in my own world too, right? Like I can go cut up Excel and build pivot tables and like write, fairly complex, not super complex formulas, but that takes me like hours upon hours, right? Like why wouldn't I just give that off to like a really great analyst that can do the same thing like in 20 minutes and then also kind of give me pointers on, hey, this is what you should look at. So, I mean, I would say that like the more I progressed in my career, I've just learned to do a better job of like, I'm really good at certain things, and I should take ownership, and I should really, use my time focused on those things, and I should just hand off the other things that are important to my job and that are critical to the success of the company relative to my role. But I really should just lean on other people who are really good at those and lean on their expertise, and then just help and use that as a guide to make a decision. Other things that I would say that are like more simpler is that have been kind of learnings for me over the years. One, I try not to look at email past 9 o'clock at night. And I know 9 o'clock may be late for some people. I used to look at email like until like 12:30 or 1. And it would just give me heightened amounts of anxiety. So like there are periods of time, like we've got a board meeting, we got a big customer meeting coming up, right, where I have to violate that, right? But large in part, I don't look at email past 9 o'clock. I try to get up really early in the mornings. Like I try to get up between 5 and 6 a.m. and start my day by not grabbing my phone and looking at email, but instead like getting up, reading a little bit. I don't usually meditate, if I'm being honest with you. I know that's a popular thing, but I mean, I do try to like spend time praying and just thinking about what I'm grateful for. So that's been a like starting the day on my terms instead of starting the day on jumping up and immediately getting bombarded by email and like reacting to the day instead of like setting a path for how I want my day to run. That's probably helped me sleep better at night. So yeah, that's what I've got to offer in terms of productivity hacks. I don't know if those are good or not, but maybe they'll be helpful for somebody out there.
There's a lot of wisdom there. It's the second time this week that delegation has been near the top of the list. So.
Okay, well, good. I'm not the only one. It's not an original thought. Not that I thought that it was in the first place.
No, there's quantity as a proxy for quality in that sense, right?
I know this is your podcast, but I'd be curious, like, because I just am interested, like, how would you answer that question? What are some productivity hacks that have served you well?
The one that was not the case in a younger version of my life, but is definitely now, is around sleep. I've become a big believer that you got to be your best self, and I was in this sort of stay above 5, stay alive camp for a long time. So it's not like I'm like getting all crazy amount of sleep, but just getting to 7 or 8 hours. I think that it helps your body recover. It helps you manage stress differently. It helps you be your best self in front of your kids and your spouse, and that's a really important one. And then I'd say one that's more aspirational for me is compartmentalization. Like being able to say, like, this is the most important problem to solve right now, and then I can switch and not ruminate on that problem in the same way.
Yeah.
I found myself, caught late at night thinking about a problem we're trying to solve, or a relationship that I want to go better than it's going, or a conversation I wish I could redo. And so getting better around that is also high on the list.
Those are great. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Curious about recommendations you have on other podcasts, things you do to tool up. I know you have a personal one. We'd love to hear about that, and other recommendations you'd offer to listeners.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts, watch a lot of like YouTube videos. I'd say the most consistent ones. I love All In. I don't know if you're familiar,
Right.
but yeah, great. Kind of four, kind of, I'd call them Silicon Valley tech guys, but the conversations they have are really more just kind of I would just call them like current events based. Right, so they'll talk about politics, they'll talk about business, they'll talk about the economy. But I love that podcast. I listen to it every week. I love Acquired. I don't know if I'm late to that game or not. Are you an Acquired guy? Do you know that one?
They do such a great job.
Oh my God, man! Have you listened to one with Howard Schultz from Starbucks yet?
That's a good one. Yeah, and then a premonition of the
Oh my God,
the turnover of their CEO. I mean, he kind of on the podcast. He doesn't think it's going the right direction, which is
man.
I'm sure a pretty big shot across the back.
I'm getting I don't know if it's like cool or not, but I'm like getting like goosebumps. Like there were so many gems in that podcast. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I would say like if you're listening to this, go listen to Acquired, the Howard Schultz episode. It's like over almost 4 hours long. So I mean, obviously I didn't do it in one setting, but man, I love that podcast. Look, I mean, I would be lying. I love Joe Rogan. I don't listen to every Joe Rogan podcast, but I'm not a big MMA guy, so I don't listen to any of the MMA stuff, right? But I love like the variety of guests that he has. I would say those are probably, what's that?
You were a Survivor guy, I'm guessing. That was the.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love, just kind of more casual and fun. I love Smartless. It's like the Jason Bateman,
Okay.
and like a couple of other, I can't remember the other two guys, Will and, anyway, kind of three actors and Will Arnett, maybe, is that his name? And one other guy. Anyway, comes out on Mondays. It's just a good kind of funny, like, just lighthearted, mindless. You can listen to it kind of in the background, mindless. So,
Yeah.
and then the one that I'll just give you, like, that's like the most embarrassing. I mean, I'm not embarrassed, but like, I'm a huge music fan, but specifically, I'm a huge rock music fan from like the 80s and 90s. So there's a radio show on Sirius XM called Trunk Nation. Eddie Trunk, he's like been a DJ. So it's like a talk show where all he does is talk about like 80s and 90s music and have like guests on from that era, from those eras. And I listen to that. Like, that's like my morning workout or evening walk and run show that I listen to quite a bit. So, yeah,
I love it. You are a prolific consumer of podcasts. This is great.
I do. I don't watch much TV, man. So like, honestly, like the majority of kind of casual, like, content consumption I do is large in part podcasts. And like I said, that cheesy 80s music radio show.
The really cool thing about the Howard Schultz story in the Acquired podcast for somebody like me listening to it was just go back in time. Like, it was not baked in that it was going to work. And there's something really inspiring about like understanding that the problems that people as entrepreneurs encounter are evergreen as it relates to the ambiguity you're trying to work through.
Yeah.
And what I really love about his story, and it shows with others too, is this focus on having a really clear mission and having a really clear understanding about why, and then being very open and like opportunistic as things come your way to run after them in the context of the bigger why.
Yeah.
And I think that there's lots of lessons in all walks of life that people can take from that through stories of people who've been able to generate an impact through history.
Yeah.
Love that you brought that up.
Yeah. And I mean, just to stay on that particular episode, I mean, I think there are a couple things about it that stood out to me. One was like early on how methodical they were and systematic they were about the markets they entered into in the order by which they entered into them, like the decision criteria. Cause like, I mean, I don't know, at the time when Starbucks was blowing up, I was living, and I was in Memphis for a bit in Tennessee and then back home. And so all of a sudden, just like you're in Memphis and all of a sudden there's a Starbucks, right? Like, but going back and listening to Howard Schultz, those early days where you started in Seattle and then like, okay, what's the right time to enter into LA? Right?
And
what's the right time? Yeah, exactly.
Decision. Yeah.
Exactly. So I thought that was fascinating. And I kind of knew this because I read Howard Schultz's book a few years ago, but just the intense kind of focus on the barista, right? Like the actual employee, the frontline employee, right? And it seems to me like a great takeaway from my point of view is that, in the ebbs and flows and kind of the ups and downs of Starbucks over the years, kind of the common thread of when things kind of get turned around is when there was like maybe a shift in focus away from the barista, right? And like maybe the focus was some financial metric driven initiative, right? And then Howard Schultz kind of gets brought back in, right? And he kind of recenters the focus on the barista, right? And to me, it was just, it was a good lesson in like, hey, look, you got to make tough business decisions, right? Some of the things like, he had to make some tough barista decisions, right? Like you had to fire a bunch of people, right? Because in order for the business to survive, you just had to take that action, right? But beyond taking that action for the people that are there and they're on the bus, we need to focus on how do we make them successful? How do we take care of them? Because if we do that, they're going to take care of the customer. And I think that's a great lesson for any business, right? I mean, I think that's certainly been a great lesson for us and the rest of our leadership team here at Scorpion is like, there have been times where like we're focused on how do we make more sales and how do we drive more revenue and blah, 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 blah. Those things are critical to the success of the business. But at the end of the day, if we create a really great place for people to work and we're helping them develop in their careers and their skill sets, like we have to trust that they are going to then go get us new customers and grow revenue, right? So I think that was just a really good lesson and a good reminder when I was listening to that podcast. So
that's great. Last question I got is, how can people get connected to you, learn about how to help you be in your orbit? What are places you direct them?
Yeah, I mean, just, to find out more, obviously, about Scorpion, you can go to scorpion.co, not com. We tried to buy scorpion.com from an industrial oil and gas company for like decades, and every time we try to do it, they hike the price up. So we're scorpion.co. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Jamie Adams Scorpion on Google, and my LinkedIn profile will show up. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm a little bit selective about who I let friends with me on Facebook, and then I've actually got like a kind of a side project. It's a podcast called The Dependents. And you can search Spotify for The Dependents podcast, or just Google The Dependents podcast and it'll pop up. But I'm using it as a way just to talk to random people, and kind of thematically, I'm just trying to kind of draw out how the dependence that we have as human beings on other people, on things, on God, can either have a positive or negative influence on our lives. So I'm just having a lot of conversations with different people in different walks of life. Recorded an episode with my business coach earlier this week. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, that's how you can find me.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to check that out, and grateful to you sharing wisdom on how to help contractors grow their businesses. Check out scorpion.co. Check out, follow Jamie, and thanks so much, Jamie, for being a good friend here to the Upside team.
Yeah, man, and like grateful for you and and your company, and like your mission too. I mean, I think, look, I mean, at the end of the day, while the market may be a little bit soft for contractors today, it no doubt is going to get heated again at some point in the future. And at the end of the day, it's competitive out there. And if you want to stand out, right, you've got to invest in your people. You've got to make sure that they're trained, and that they're doing more than just, collecting a paycheck from you, because they can do that in any number of places. So I think that what you guys are doing at Uptick is really awesome, man. So keep going there. So
I appreciate it. All right. Well, catch us next time on the Untapped with Upsmith podcast. And until then, signing off. Thanks, Jamie.
Upsmith, not Uptick. I don't know where I got Uptick. So, all right. Take to you soon, Wyatt. Take care, man.
You nailed it. See you, man. Bye. Be well.